posted it in all the groups today. And again, everyone will get the opportunity to make this. This is just a very special circumstance. Some people said, hey, I already took a Young Engineers of Today class. I already made the game Pong, you know, I kind of want to try something harder. So in that case, it's been posted on Edmodo. Holly, you can do the challenge. Yeah, and we're going to learn about saving right now. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. Azelle, I still didn't get your background in it, but if you've taken a camp or if you've taken a class, and the PDF is up there, okay? You know, it's 612 or 712. Sorry about that. So we got to move on with class today, but it's up on Edmodo. I can't send the PDF through GoToWebinar, so that's the best I can do. For right now. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and open Scratch. Someone right off the bat said that they don't know how to save their Scratch game. So you guys should be either on your laptop with Scratch 1.4, or you should be, if possible, if at all possible, you should be on your Raspberry Pi. Right, Caitlin, no one has to. No, I would recommend that 99% of you be doing what I'm doing today in class, okay? Special circumstance, just a special circumstance. All right, we're going to move forward. Unless I've specifically spoken to you, you're with me. Great. All right, so to save, it's really easy. You go to File, Save, or Save As. File, Save, or Save As. Very easy. I don't know if you guys recognize this, but this is the save symbol. It's a floppy disk. Definitely outdated at this point. All right, so as a reminder, kind of a refresher from last time, this is our stage. These are our sprites. Celeste, again, we're in Scratch right now. You can find it on your Raspberry Pi by double-clicking the little cat icon. And we go through the whole basics in the last recorded webinar, okay? Your sprites are going to act out the list of commands that you give them. Here's where you write that list of commands. And they're going to act it out on the stage. You're going to make these commands out of these puzzle pieces. And these are your blocks. And they're kind of color-coded into these different categories. And at the end of last class, I asked you to make your Scratch cat do a little dance. And that's where we ended. All right. Bear with me for one moment. Now I'm going to show you a few things. We're going to first start by changing the background. How do we view? It's okay if you deleted it. That wasn't really important. You can view your Scratch stuff by going to File, Open, and it'll show you any of your projects. I don't have any yet. It also shows you some examples, which is cool. But don't look at your examples right now. Hit Cancel. We're starting over, okay? We're not going to look at that dance. All right. So we're going to add a background. So everybody, as a reminder, what we're doing here, I'm going to say eyes on my screen, and I want you guys to look at what I'm doing, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to do it on your screen. So eyes on my screen. I'm going to click this Stage button near your sprites, where you can select the different sprites. You can also select the stage, which is kind of the background itself. And I want you to first note that you can actually add scripts for the stage. And we'll see why that's important in just a moment. So again, I clicked Stage, Eyes on my screen. I'm going to switch this tab to Backgrounds. And there's a couple different things we can do. We can add a new background, painting it a different color by hitting Paint. And then you can make it like, let's say, a blue background. You can add a rectangle. Notice that it's filled in. And green grass. All right. So I did that by clicking Stage, clicking Backgrounds, and clicking Paint. I'm going to name this background Ground. Go ahead and try that. Try adding a background similar to this. Valerie, that is correct. Go ahead and try that on your own. And then if you have any questions about what we did today, you can always refer back to the recording. That's just, you have some experience with Scratch, so go ahead and try out the Frogger game, okay? That was specifically answering Valerie's question. All right, so we have our ground. I'm going to go through that one more. Oh yeah, someone said, can I add flowers? Absolutely. So you can add, spend some time. We're not going to spend a ton of time because I'm going to give you an opportunity to mess with your game, but you can add little pink flowers. Maybe I'm going to add a fluffy cloud. So at this, I'm using the brush, and I can make a big brush and add a fluffy cloud. I've seen some of your animations that are very cool, and those of you who have posted on Edmodo, and that's I really like seeing that. Some of you are really, really good artists, so that's been cool to see. All right, again, I hit Stage, Backgrounds, and then I added a new background by painting it. Azelle, that sounds perfect. That sounds really good. Yeah, Valerie, I don't want you signing off of GoToWebinar. You can always hear what I'm doing. Hey, Valerie, do you have a question?
No.
Oh, your hand's up, so I'm going to mute you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so we're done with adding our stage. And I'm actually going to go back through. Now you have this other background, right? I'm going to call this Eyes on my screen. I'm going to call my bottom daytime. And see this one that is white? That's the one we started with. I'm going to call this one nighttime. And I can just double click it and that will let me edit. And I'm going to fill it with some dark blue. Maybe some twinkle lights here. Okay, it's really important, so go ahead and add that second, or just edit. I want you to practice editing a background. So double click that top background that should just be white, and it will let you edit. And I think it's really important to actually make the change so that it says nighttime and that one says daytime. And the reason that is you're going to refer to these backdrops by their names within the code. So if you name them backdrop 1 and backdrop 2, you can really easily forget which one is daytime and which one is nighttime. And that just leads to frustrating errors, and it's more confusing when you're working, especially if you're working on a project. You stop working on it over a long weekend, and then you have to start working on the project again. So you always want to give your things names. And we're going to look in just a minute on how we can actually give our sprites names as well. Hey Ingrid, I'm on a computer too. So you really need to download Scratch 1.4. That's what I went over last webinar. If you're in Scratch 2.0, it's going to be different. And we're using Scratch 1.4 on our Pis to do physical computing, so I want you guys to get used to Scratch 1.4. Okay, does that make sense? Oh, you are? Oh, then it's the same thing. You just double-click stage right there. Oh, you would like to show off your background. Absolutely, Ingrid. I'm getting you now. Okay. Ingrid, I am going to change you to presenter. Ingrid wants to show off her beautiful background. All right, Ingrid. It's gonna let you show your screen, okay? Whenever you're ready, I'm gonna unmute you. Or you should be unmuted.
I haven't finished it yet.
Okay, do you want to try it later? Oh, hey! Oh, that's really nice. Wow, you did that very, very quickly. That looks great. That looks great. Okay, but I do want to point something out, Ingrid. You actually added a costume to your sprite. See how you're in sprite 1 right now?
Yeah.
Okay, see where it says stage below sprite 1?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so that's actually where you need to add your backdrop.
Okay.
So double click that for me. Yeah, or click stage, there you go. And then see, there's where you need to go. So you have a very beautiful backdrop, and hopefully you'll be able to quickly redo that at another point, but that looks really nice. All right, I'm changing the presenter back to me. All right, we're gonna move ahead. So, and that's a really common mistake to make. You gotta make sure that you're actually clicking stage and not your sprite 1. Okay, clicking stage, and that's referring to the backdrop, and not sprite, which is the image that kind of moves along your backdrop. Okay, so we have stage selected, eyes on my screen, stage is selected, and we're under scripts. And what I want to happen, I want to add a hat block, right? One of those things that the code is listening for. And it's going to say, when the green flag is clicked, switch background to daytime. So that's how our code starts. When the space key is pressed, switch background to nighttime. All right, you guys try that and see what happens. Oh, some interesting questions going on. That's adorable. Oh, wow. Ingrid, you got some really nice compliments. Anna, yeah, you can show your background off. Let's wait till the end of class, and then we can have maybe 10 minutes where people show off their artwork, but I do want to keep going. So, Anna Windsor, you are going to show your stuff off at the end. But Ingrid, you did get some people saying that that looked really nice. Someone asked if I have any kids. I don't have any kids, but I do. So we're going to move forward here. So Eyes on my screen. Right now, when the code starts, when you press this green flag, which is how the game will start, or any game or animation starts, the code switches the backdrop to daytime, and when the space bar is pressed, the backdrop switches to nighttime. This is coded within the stage. And I can click Sprite 1, and notice that those scripts go away. That's because the different sprites in your code each have their own scripts. So first we're going to start with Scratch Cat. Let's go ahead and move Scratch Cat. Remember that you can think about this background, this Scratch background, as an XY axis, which means right here, X equals 0, right in the middle, eyes on my screen, X equals 0, and Y equals 0. If you look right here, it kind of gives you those updates. So in the middle here, X equals 0 and Y equals 0, and that's the middle of my screen. And as we move to the left, my X numbers get very negative. If we move to the right, my X numbers get very positive. Again, I should be on my screen, and you guys can be watching right down here. Those coordinates change. Center 0, 0. If I move upwards, Y gets very positive. If I move downwards, Y gets very negative. And if I only move up and down, I know my X numbers change a little bit, but they shouldn't change that much. That's just because I'm not very good at moving directly straight up and straight down. So anywhere along this line, X should be close to 0, right? X should be 0 along this line. I preface that to say I want you to, when spacebar is clicked, as on my screen, I want you to put Scratch Cat, I want you to make Scratch Cat go to negative 175, X equals negative 175, Y equals 0. And I actually want you now to name this sprite Scratch Cat. I don't like it being named Sprite 1 because you might not know who you're referring to. So when the green flag is clicked, our backdrop will change to daytime, and Scratch Cat will go to the left side of the screen. Go ahead and do that now. Annika, that's a really good idea, and that's actually what we'll use for the second sprite. All right, eyes on my screen. We're going to add a new sprite, and we're going to choose it from File. So you'll see here, eyes on my screen, New Sprite, from Paint New Sprite, Choose New Sprite from File, or Get a Surprise Sprite. That can be fun sometimes, but not right now. Oh, oops, we don't want him right now. Okay. So we're going to choose a new sprite from File. And we want it to be a thing. Oh, it looks like they don't have what I thought they would have. Come on. Oh, here it is. Okay, it's under Fantasy. So when you open, here, let's start over, eyes on my screen. When you open Choose New Sprite from File, click on Fantasy, and you should see the sun. It's a little wonky, but now we have another sprite called the sun. So go ahead. Now it's your turn to try. Add a new sprite from File. It looks like the folder with the star coming out. Choose New Sprite from File. If you forget where it is, look at my screen, because my mouse is over it. All right, but you should be doing this now. Once you click that, double-click Fantasy and find the sun. And go ahead and click the sun and click OK. Okay, so eyes on my screen, we're going to switch the sun's name from sprite 1 to sun. Remember, we do that so that way it is, pardon me, had a little bit of a brain moment there. We do that so that way when we're coding, it's easier to distinguish Scratch Cat and sun as opposed to sprite 1, sprite 2. Mira, you can add another sprite other than the sun, like a bird or a dragon or something like that. Sure, Anna Windsor, you should obviously do Cheesy Puffs. That sounds great. That's a little bit of sarcasm. Sorry. That sounds cool. Okay. All right. So eyes on my screen for a second. We're going to actually make our first game here. So, eyes on my screen, what we're going to do is when the green button is clicked, the sun should go to the center of the page, 0, 0. That doesn't actually look like where the sun would be. Where would the sun be? Up here? Maybe 175, 105. Let's try that. That looks like where the sun might be in the sky. 120, 145, 150, 90. Let's try that. All right, and that's how the game starts. But when the space bar is pressed, we're going to have the sun bounce around the screen. So eyes on my screen for a second. If you guys remember, we had Scratch Cat move across the stage on Friday or Wednesday. And we did that by putting the move 10 steps block in a repeat 10 times loop, right? Well, what we want the sun to do is to move 10 steps and to continue moving. Move 10 steps, move 10 steps, move 10 steps until it hits the wall and then bounces around. And you'll see why. What we're going to do is play a little game where if the sun hits Scratch Cat, it's going to turn to nighttime, you know, and the game's over, that sort of thing. So the sun is going to act almost like a bouncy ball here, okay? And we're doing that because Scratch actually has some built-in code that makes this pretty easy. But think back to last lesson. Again, eyes on my screen for a moment. I'm going to give you guys time at the end to change the design a little bit, so I don't want you to be making many design changes right now, because you'll have time to do that. All right, so take a look at my screen. Instead of having the sun repeat these things 10 times, we're going to have the sun repeat this forever, which just means as long as the game is being played, the sun is going to keep doing the same things after the space key is pressed. And what the sun is going to do is it's going to check to see if it's on the edge of the screen. If it is on the edge of the screen, it's going to switch directions. If it's not on the edge of the screen, it's not going to switch directions. It's going to skip that bounce, and it's going to move forward. If you guys remember, move 10 steps depends on the way that the sun is pointed. Or remember when it depended on the way that Scratch Cat was pointed. Well, let's go ahead and try this, because I have a lot for you guys. So right now, we're just going to try this. If the space button is pressed, the sun should, with this code, bounce back and forth. And he kind of flips upside down when he does that, which is a little funny. Because right now you can see that the sun is pointing to the right and moving to the right, and then the sun is pointing to the left and moving to the left. So what's happening here is, since the space key has been pressed, the sun is going to check to see if it's on the edge. If it's not on the edge, it's going to move 10 steps and continue moving 10 steps, right, in this loop, always checking until it finally does hit that edge, and then it's going to bounce, which just means reverse directions. And it moves, 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 moves. When it hits the edge, it bounces. It checks every time before it moves, but all we're seeing here is that movement. And it will continue doing this forever. So go ahead on your own screens, go ahead and add this code, and I will leave it here for you guys to see. Sure, Annika, that sounds like a really good mod. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. For right now, add the code for the sun, and we'll get to that in just a minute. How do you delete code? To delete code, there are a couple ways. So Maya, look at my screen for a second. Let's say I don't want this point towards block. I can either right-click and delete it, or I can click this block and drop it over in the side. So raise your hand as soon as you're ready. Different sprites to be different things. You will have time to do that, but for right now, just focus on getting this code done. All right, I'm going to put everyone's hands down. Does anyone need... All right. Great. Okay. So right now this game... There we go. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay. Once you hit the space bar, all the sun does is move back and forth, and you can't move, and it's pretty boring. So the first thing that we're going to do is add a turn 15 degrees block before that forever loop starts, and a point in direction 90 block with the green flag, and the sun will be pointing to the right. You see that up here. And when the space key is pressed, you see now the sun kind of bounces around. That's because we just had the sun pointed in a little bit of a different direction. When it was just pointing 90, it would hit this wall, turn 180 degrees, so it was pointing this way, hit this wall, and just keep reversing in the straight line. By adding this one line, now we get a bouncing sun. So go ahead and do that. It is going crazy. All right, eyes on my screen. We're going to take a break from this, right? The point in direction 90. And then notice that turn 15 degrees is not within the forever loop. If it was within the forever loop, it would look like this. And it would take the sun forever to go anywhere, right? Because it's always going in this circle. So it's turning 15 degrees, moving 10 steps. Turning 15 degrees, moving 10 steps. It's never going to hit the edge. So we just want it to turn 15 degrees once at the beginning of the game so that it's not just going straight left and right. All right. Okay. That's okay, Mira. That sounds good. So eyes on my screen. We're going to move away from the sun. We're going to click Scratch Cat. Now we are coding for Scratch Cat. And what we're going to do with Scratch Cat is pretty cool. Under the when the green flag clicked, we're going to add some stuff. So first we're just going to build it down here. Eyes on my screen, down here. So I'm going to pull this if-then statement. That's what this is called, an if-then statement. I'm going to pull this here. It looks like a C block, just like a loop, right? If you look at this, it looks like you can fit blocks in there. Well, same with this block right here. And what this does, if we look at a loop is going to repeat whatever blocks are in here. And it's going to repeat it a certain number of times. If it's a forever loop, it will repeat it forever. If it's a repeat 10 time loop, it will repeat it 10 times. An if-then statement is going to check a condition, and if that condition is true, it will run the blocks inside of the C. If that condition is false, it will move to the next block beneath it, not within the C. So we're going to see an example of this. So we're going to say if, and then I'm going to go to sensing. If the right arrow is pressed, move 10 steps. All right. And then what I'm going to do is right-click this. I'm going to right-click on the if. Right-click on the if, duplicate, and it duplicates that entire block for me. Now I'm going to say if the left arrow pressed, move negative 10 steps. Now if I hook this up right now, again, eyes on my screen, once the green flag is clicked, my code is going to check to see if the user is pressing the right arrow key. If the user isn't pressing the right arrow key, it's going to jump down to this if statement. It's going to check to see if the user is pressing the left arrow key. If the user isn't, it's going to skip down. Oh well, the code is done. It's not going to check anymore. What we need to do is add these two if statements to a forever loop. So now it's constantly going to be checking to see if the user is pressing a right arrow key or a left arrow key. Now we can move Scratch Cat left and right. Alright guys, I know I did a lot, so what I'm going to ask you to do is do this on your screen, and I'm going to start from scratch over on this screen. So I'll move this solution, I'll leave this solution up, but for those of you who are just totally lost, I'll do it again. So I want you guys to be trying this out. You need an if-then block, it's under control, and it checks a condition, and based on whether or not that condition is true or false, it runs a sequence of steps. Well, the condition we're checking is whether a key is being pressed. We're going to start with the right arrow key. If the right arrow key is being pressed, we want Scratch Cat to move 10 steps. Yes, Annika, I have made a lot of games on my Scratch account. I can show you guys in just a minute. I know, I said I'm going to start from scratch and I am Scratch. Can I set him to move upwards? I know how. Mira, go for it. Now that I have all of this, I'm going to right-click the if, that yellow block, and duplicate it, and it actually brings those two blue blocks with it. I'm going to say if left arrow, move -10 steps. Alright, you put that in a forever loop, and that's how you move left and right. If I wanted to move up and down, I would have to use the change Y by, right, because moving upwards changes my Y to positive numbers, moving my mouse downwards changes my Y to negative numbers. You'd have to use the change Y by 10 and change Y by -10. But for my game, I'm just having Scratch Cat move left and right. Okay, so now when I hit green flag and spacebar and the sun goes crazy, I can kind of move my Scratch Cat around. You're kind of right. Mira, I think we are going to have to move Scratch Cat up and down, or else we will really easily lose this game. So let's do that. Or we can do that in a little bit. Right now, let's just program to see when you win. Alright, the game restarts. Eyes on my screen here. We're going to program it under the sun. Okay, we're going to add this line right here. If, right, I switched, so now I'm coding for the sun, not Scratch Cat. If touching, and it's the one with the little drop down, as on my screen. If the sun is touching Scratch Cat, control, stop all. And we're going to check for that even before we check to see if the sun is on the edge of the screen. Alright, so game starts, and if the sun touches Scratch Cat, your game is now over. Alright, and we can do things like you could have it do a lot of different things. Prompt the user at this point, hey, you lost. We can add things like score, and we will, but for right now, I just want you to kind of see we've learned a lot today. Let me leave this sun up. I want you guys Caitlin, my dog Sandy is a golden retriever, Labrador retriever mix. She is very, very sweet. Yes. Someone said, can they set Scratch Cat to move upwards and downwards? Yes. Yes, I'm very lucky. She's very sweet. Okay. I think Anna wanted to show her game. Anna, I'm going to call on you, Anna Windsor. Hey, Anna, do you still want to show your game?
Yes, second hello.
Hey, are you, is your game on your laptop or on your Raspberry Pi?
Laptop.
All right, I am going to make you a presenter, and you can share. You gave your cheesy pups a face.
He has vampire fangs.
That's great. Oh, I like your gradient backdrop. Looks really nice. Under a tree. Nice.
Oh no, he got me again.
All right. Thanks, Anna. All right, switching it back to me. Did anyone else want to share their game before the end of class? Holly says that was funny. All right. All right, do you want, hey, sorry. I just unmuted you. Do you want to, are you using your laptop or your Raspberry Pi?
My laptop.
Okay. Let me switch to your screen here. I'm going to make you presenter. Oh, very nice. And you know what, class? This is Leah. I don't think, Leah, I said it was you. I think I just called on you without muting. Oh, that's very great.
Thank you.
I like your clouds. They look a lot fluffier than mine. All right, I'm switching back to me. And Leah, let me mute you. Did anyone else want to share? Yeah, Anna, you can move them up and down. It's to do that, you click the Scratch Cat. And I think Maya would agree here with me, but Maya, I would let you show, but we only have a couple minutes left. You duplicate those blocks and you choose up arrow, down arrow, and instead of moving 10 steps and negative 10 steps, you can just delete those. You change Y by 10 and change Y by negative 10. And you put all of that in the forever loop. And now Scratch Cat can move left, down, up, all of the directions. That didn't work? Well, it's working on my screen. You can look at my solution there. Up arrow, change Y by 10. Down arrow, change Y by negative 10. And you can actually switch right arrow to change X by 10. And left arrow, change X by negative 10. Now remember, you have to put it in the forever loop, or else it's only going to check once, and you want it to constantly be checking, as long as the game is run. Your Scratch Cat won't move. Maya, did you put these commands in a forever loop under the green flag clicked, and then click the green flag? Just like I'm showing you here. You have the forever loop, and then you have Scratch Cat being highlighted down here. I promised I would show someone something on Scratch 2.0. Maya, look at this for one more minute while I pull this up. We can also take a look at it in a minute. Azel, I think it was you who said, how do I make the frog turn left? I can actually show you right on here. When you're looking at the frog's costume, let's just look at this guy right here. Azel, there should be a button like this at the top of your editor, and it's flipped horizontally, and now this guy is pointing in the other direction. I think, though, what you need to do is see, Anna, no, Azel, sorry, look at my screen right now. Hit the I next to your sprite. Rotation style to left, right. All right, the little line with 2 arrows. So now, let me show you real fast. When Scratch Cat moves, he hits the wall and flips, and that's what you'll want your frog to do, except yours when it hits the left versus the right. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you as well. I need to jump off. I've got another webinar right now. Post any questions that you have to Edmodo. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you all Wednesday.